This is a tutorial on the TF dichotomy. Before we get started, I wanted to do a bit of a review and remind you that people are more complicated than any one theory about them. In other words, there are more ways to look at human personality than just the MBTI. We'll also be looking at the strong interest inventory later in class, or if I meet with you individually. So just as a review, we wanted to just look at the 4 different dichotomy areas. There's the E-I temperament, the S-N dichotomy, the T-F, and the J-P. In this tutorial, we will be looking at the T-F dichotomy, or how we make decisions. As you may recall, there are 2 functions to our personality: to perceive and also to judge. In our last tutorial, we talked about the perceiving function, and that is to gather data, take in information, and to observe the world around us. In this tutorial, we'll be looking at the judging function and how we evaluate data, make decisions, and critique our observations. So this is all about making decisions. We either make decisions as a T or an F. The T stands for thinker, and the F stands for feeler. Judgers have a preference for being objective, analytical, non-personal. They seek clarity and justice. Feelers, on the other hand, want to make decisions subjectively. They want it to be experiential, and they take in interpersonal considerations. And it is very important for them when making decisions to be harmonious, to be merciful. So again, when making decisions, thinkers want to be non-personal, they want to be objective, they want to look at the principles, laws, firmness, they seek justice, clarity, and they prefer to critique. They want to know what the policy is, and they make decisions detached and with their head. Feelers, on the other hand, want to be interpersonal. They want to make decisions subjectively. They look at the person, the principles. They look at the circumstances. They can be persuaded. They want to know if the decision is humane. Again, they seek harmony. They can spontaneously appreciate, are interested in social values, and are involved. And they like to make decisions. They have a preference for making decisions with their heart. So feelers, when they're making a decision, they see things as a participant from within the situation. Thinkers, on the other hand, see things as an onlooker and want to step back from the outside and look from the outside into a situation. Thinkers also like to take the long view. Feelers like to take an immediate and personal view. And if you'll notice closely in these pictures, the feelers are spontaneously appreciating. You could see the smile. And then the thinkers are spontaneously critiquing this little art project there. Feelers can be good at understanding people and may seem fuzzy-minded and emotional to T's, whereas thinkers are good at analyzing plans and may seem a little cold and condescending to F's. But we all need balance in our lives. Being a super feeler is not necessarily a good thing, and neither is being a thinker. So let's get back to my fish story. As you recall, my daughter had been crying, and I knew that her fish had died. And when my husband and I went downstairs, sure enough, the goldfish had died. So immediately I went into my decision-making mode. And in my house, we do not keep dead animals. We have a policy that says, dead animals need to be taken care of. I looked at things objectively, analytically, non-personally. seeking clarity and justice. And so I determined rather early on that the goldfish had to go. I needed to make a decision. So I got the goldfish bowl, being a thinking mom, and I headed toward the bathroom. And this was my intention. I wanted to dispose of the dead goldfish. But of course, you know that my little third grade daughter had a reaction. And she said, "Mom, you cannot do this. Please, please, please." And she started crying. So in that moment, I decided at this time it was not beneficial to be a T or thinking mom. I needed to be on the other side. I needed to look at things subjectively, experientially. And I needed to consider how this was going to impact her. And I needed to be merciful and harmonious. I wanted to get along with my daughter and have some compassion. So I asked her, "Honey, what is it that you want to do?" And she said, "Mom, I want a proper burial." I said, "It's raining." To which she said, "I don't care." So outside we went with umbrellas to bury her little goldfish. And so outside in the rain, I kicked over some dirt and I threw the darn goldfish in. I said, "Okay, we're done, let's go." But my little daughter freaked and said, "But Mom, I want to say a few words." Here lies Beyonce. She was a good fish. She died on May 17, 2001 because my mother forgot to change the water. And my other fish will die soon if my mom doesn't do something quickly. Amen. So you can see it was not a time for me to be objective, analytical, and non-personal. It just wasn't, even though it was just the right thing to do. It was a time for me to be subjective, experiential, interpersonal, seeking harmony and being merciful. And this was the end result, a happy child. So I'd like you to go back to that white sheet of paper that has the 4 lines on it, and you should have something already circled. Mine is N. And now I'd like you to circle either the T or the F. And then if you're undecided as to which side you're on, you might want to put a line right down the middle. Please note, again, we're not talking about abilities. We're talking about preferences. Many people talk about how they can't decide on one side because they see themselves on each side. But really, I'm talking about what do you prefer when making decisions. So just to review, our last tutorial was on the SN personality function or dichotomy, on how we perceive. And this tutorial is on how we make decisions, either as a thinker or as a feeler. The 2 types, the 2 functions of our personality is to perceive and then also to judge. When we perceive, we gather information, take it in, and observe the world around us. But when we judge, we evaluate the data and we make decisions and we critique our observations. So in our last tutorial, we discussed how we gather information. In this tutorial, we talked about how we make decisions, either as a thinker or a feeler. And in our next tutorial, we'll talk about how we draw our energy, either as an extrovert, E, or an introvert, I.